My first idea for chapter 1 comes from page 21. It's a quote by Charon, I believe is how you say the name. Without interaction with outsiders, differences become more difficult to understand and difficult not to judge. I think what that's trying to say is that without the interaction, then whatever we see that doesn't agree with our own beliefs simply becomes wrong to us because we haven't learned or interacted as to why these things are different or why they do things differently. It's a very challenging quote because without the interaction, we won't know or learn to know why, but why would we want to interact when we don't understand it? So I think a lot of people would have difficulty with that. My second idea is talked about through page 19 through 23. It talks about how we are all similar in different cultures, but it's hard to find the similarities. It also talks about how hard it is to raise a child of a different race than your own, talking about adopted children. Our culture is a huge part of who we are, and it tells us what we believe or why we have these beliefs. I think that it's something that we should all study because it really gets you to know who you are. I would see how it could be hard to teach like your child of another race about their cultures because you either don't know about the culture because it isn't your own, or because some parents may think that the child doesn't need to have that culture since they live with them and they're their children then. But it really helps you to understand who they are, and if the child can learn both of them, they can bring the best qualities from each culture and bring them together into their own. So for chapter 2, it is from page 31. It talks about the use of verbal and nonverbal symbols between individuals to accomplish shared means. A smile is an example of one, and it talks about how gestures are different between different cultures. I think it's important because it's something so simple as a smile or a handshake, but it can really disrespect someone of another culture if that's not what they do. Because if you meet someone formally and you go to shake their hand, but in their culture they may bow or kiss on the cheek, it could really disrespect them because you haven't gotten to know their culture and learned it, especially in like a business setting. If you go to shake their hand, but you were supposed to bow to them or something, like it could make them disrespect you because you haven't studied them, and why would they want to go into business with you? It talks about the okay symbol, like the like okay symbol, because in America it just simply means okay, everything's okay. But in other countries, it actually could mean something that's very derogatory or sexual towards someone. So I think it's important to study symbols and gestures and meanings of things, because if you were to travel the world and go to another country where the okay symbol is something derogatory and you don't know that, then it could end up bad for you. My second important idea for chapter 2 is from page 34. Flexible and inflexible intercultural communication. Flexible is the emphasis of the importance of integrating knowledge and open-minded attitude and adapting them into your everyday life. Inflexible is the continuation of our own culture in our life without like changing into a routine of someone else's. I think they're both really important because if you're going to work with someone of another culture, if they're in your cultural world, they, I think, need to adhere to your beliefs because they're in your culture. But if you were to go into another one, I think you would need to adhere to theirs. If there was a mix between both of them, then it would be hard to say, but you just need to figure out a good balance.